Hello and welcome to the Next Generation Podcast. I'm Jayson Churn, Chairman of the RHA's Next Gen Group. In today's episode, we are joined by three very special guests. Sean from McCullers Transport, Clare Murphy, Head of HR at the RHA, and Chris from Andy's Man Club. We're going to be talking about men's mental health in transport and the UK. Sean, Clare, Chris, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I'm going to start by just sort of asking you guys what it is you do, what your roles are within the organisations, and then we'll get into the story of Andy's Man Club because it is an amazing story. Sean, you're up.
Yep. I work for McCullers Transport in Northern Ireland, whatever way you want to say it. So, and I'm the Group Transport and Compliance Manager. So, been there going nearly 7 years now, this coming May. So, a lot of challenges, obviously, throughout the days, and it's a very good thing to be doing.
Claire.
Thank you, Jayson. So I'm Clare Murphy. I am part of the team HR at the RHA. So delighted to be part of this first podcast, Jayson.
May I just say it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for doing this, because I think it's a really exciting, podcast series, but also this subject is something that's really, really close to my heart. And, we spend a lot of time supporting, our people, but also the industry, to try and stay well, and certainly a champion of Andy's Man Club as well. So thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you ever so much for having us.
Cribs.
Yes. So I'm Chris. I'm the area lead for the Midlands for Andy's Man Club. So we are a peer-to-peer support charity, suicide prevention charity for men over the age of 18. And we have over 330 clubs now nationally across the country. I oversee all of the Midlands clubs from the west side of the Great Birmingham area and all the way over to here in Peterborough and also Huntingdon.
Awesome. I think it goes without saying that mental health in the UK, the awareness has not been great. It's starting to get better. Obviously, clubs like Andy's Man Club, organisations, the RHA are involved with as well, bringing this into the mainstream light or making this more approachable and talked about is something that really needs to be done. And the only way you're going to do that is by going out there, talking about it and doing stuff like this. Fantastic. Chris, can I ask, just for the viewers, the story of Andy's Man Club? Because you've told me this and it's really touching.
So obviously it's a sad story and it's something really positive that's come out of it. But back in 2016, a young lad by the name of Andy took his own life. He was only 23. The night before, he'd had a massive argument with his partner. There were no signs that he was struggling and that he was found in the early hours of Tuesday morning having taken his own life. So following that, his mother, Elaine, and his brother-in-law, Luke Ambler, who are two of our trustees, founded the charity. And it began as a coffee club on the 4th of July 2016, where 9 people attended in a room in Halifax, and it's now grown to a national charity where we are supporting over 6,500 men every single Monday night.
That's fantastic. That's so to see how that's grown as well. Obviously, how long have you been with Andy's Man Club?
As a member of staff, I came into post on the 1st of September this year, so very recently, but I first started as a service user like all of our staff, all of our volunteers, when I was in a particularly dark place back in 2022, and then I wanted to give something back to a charity that really did make a huge impact on my life. It turned my life around, and I would go as far as to say I wouldn't be here if I hadn't have made that step to attend. So I became a volunteer, and then I now am proud to say that I work for such a fantastic charity.
I think the one word I really took out of that was step, because a lot of the time with mental health, and especially as a young man like myself, if you're ever struggling, it's taking that first step to really sort of open up or deal with whatever it is that you feel like you need to deal with. What was that like for you personally? Obviously, you don't have to answer, but personally, that must have been very difficult. What was it like to you to start this journey?
Personally, very difficult, and I know from speaking to so many others and seeing so many others come through the door on that first occasion, it is really daunting. But it's so much easier the further the more you attend, week in, week out, you're getting to hear stories that resonate. You're getting to to talk about the things that you have internalized for so long and felt that you couldn't talk about. And it's just so powerful, both that, but the offloading and also the listening as well. So that first step is always the biggest thing. And we'd always say to everyone, don't overthink what you come into, because everybody's there for the same reason. It really makes a difference. If you think about it from that point of view, everybody's there. It's peer support. We're there to support each other, and that's massive.
I think the world needs more peer support. I think, we live in a really fast-paced society. I mean, especially this part of the country is so fast-paced. It's so easy to just go, and then forget completely about what's going on up here. So, you can get so caught up in everyday life, and it will just take over. I mean, we're all guilty of it, Sometimes, it's nice to just say, how you doing? I'm all right. Yeah, but are you actually all right? I have it with my friends all the time. We're all lorry drivers. A lot of me and my friends, we're all lorry drivers. We spend a lot of time on our own in the cabs, and hopefully a lot of our listeners and our viewers are also lorry drivers, and this will be something that you guys do as well. It can creep in. And the weird thing is sometimes you don't realize it until a period of time has sort of passed. And I'll take an example for this. I was talking to my mate Ollie on the way up here today. Ollie's a long distance lorry driver, young lad like myself, he's 22. And I said, he said, you're going up to the RHA to do that podcast? I went, yeah. And I said, can I ask you a question, mate? And he went, yeah. I said, do you ever think about your mental health? He went, yeah. He said, sometimes I do. And me and Ollie often have a deep chat. And I said, what's it like? I said, tell me from your perspective, what is it like? And he just went, some days are all right and some days are hard. And I said to him, so when you have a bad day, right, because everyone has a bad day, do you go and just wipe the day off? Yeah, sometimes. What about a bad week? When was the last time you had a bad week? A little while ago. Yeah. At what point does the day become the week become the month? For anyone listening out there, at what point do you go, actually, this isn't right? Everyone has a bad day. Sometimes everyone has a bad week. But at what point would you say, go have a chat with someone? Yeah. Where's your draw at?
It's tough. I would say to anybody that if you're having a difficult day, a difficult time, the answer is to reach out to somebody. It might be that you don't feel you've got somebody to reach out to, which is where perhaps a charity like Andy's Man Club can come in and help. But if you've got somebody such as yourself for your friend that you were talking about, he could pick up the phone and you could have that conversation. We ask ourselves how we are every day of the week, or how our friends or colleagues are every day of the week, but often it feels like a bit of a rhetorical question. And if you think that there's something perhaps amiss and things aren't quite right, perhaps ask them again. Ask them, actually, no, seriously, how are you? You might find that you get a really different answer, and that might make a huge difference to that individual.
100%. And sometimes it's taking that extra step to ask that person, what's actually going on there. Claire, your time in HR, obviously, have you experienced anything? Obviously, you deal with people a lot. So what's that like from your perspective to deal with people in a professional environment as well, where perhaps maybe people can be defensive about their positions and stuff like that? It's more difficult to talk.
I think that's it. I think going back to your point around, why we're here is to talk about it. By talking about it, you normalise talking about it, and you hope to reduce the stigma that is attached to not talking about it.
That's it. That would be it, yeah. And obviously, the more you talk with people, I just put an example, me and Jayson, obviously, haven't seen him since about a couple of weeks ago. But first time we come in here, obviously, both big hug. Let's make sure you're both okay. Obviously, and I haven't seen each other in a few weeks. It leads in with different people. It can be very defensive, obviously, as well, from a HR perspective. So, from my knowledge and obviously my experience, it's best reporting to people. I was like, see with the Man Club, Chris, how can the guys, like, just say any driver or anybody in the industry, how can they report to like yourself? Is it like in QR codes?
So we have a system where there are no bookings, there are no referrals. You know, you don't need to see a GP to come and see us. We are just trying to put ourselves out there, and it's as easy as going onto the website and putting in your postcode, and it'll give you a list of where the nearest groups are. And chances are, you know, we have over 330 groups now. There'll be one that perhaps is you know, doable.
It's Monday night, isn't it?
Monday night, every Monday night at 7 p.m. And obviously a lot of your guys are out on the road.
Yeah, so see if somebody was out the road, obviously, what way could they...
So then in terms of the member assistance programme as well that we've talked about earlier, so we've got a free service, the member assistance programme service, that's available to all our members, and that's accessed via either a phone line, and that's open 24/7, or they scan a QR code. So we've got lots of different ways that people can access. And we'll put the information on at the end of this podcast so that people have got that, you know, to hand. We've also got little key fobs for the details for member assistance programme. So it is, you know, it's something that's really helped our members in the last couple of years since it's been launched. Hundreds of people have accessed it either via the phone line or via the online portal, the app.
And the QR code is obviously going to be available.
Yeah, there's a QR code on the little key fob and on the posters and on the leaflets, so people can access it wherever, whenever. And also it's really important that you as leaders of organisations know about that, so that when you are having those conversations or being made aware of people that may be struggling, you can provide them with that information and it's there whenever they need it.
Yes, so it's there 24/7, 365 days of the year instead. Yeah, so which is...
And you never know when you don't need it until you need it, right? So
yeah, it could be a Sunday.
Whatever. And we have, exactly. And obviously it's completely confidential, the member assistance programme. So we would never, you know, it's done by an independent company, but we get stats of the times of days that people have used it. And we have seen that people have used it in the middle of the night, you know, on a Friday, Saturday morning, over the weekend. So it's there when you need it, 24/7.
Because Chris gave me a statistic. Obviously, it was in his pop-up when he came in there. It's 1 and 2, Chris, about?
It's 2 men, statistically, or 1 man, sorry, every 2 hours takes his own life, and that's in the UK alone. Globally, it's estimated that it's 1 man every minute, which is pretty astounding. I mean, that really did take me back. It's the biggest killer of men under 54 in the UK, and that statistic has actually gone up. It used to be, that age range has gone up. It used to be 39. Back when I started in charity, it was 45. So since lockdown, we've seen a huge decline in mental health, in you know, and increase in the numbers of men that feel that they've got no alternative. And you know, the support service you've got is fantastic. And you know, we are yet another option for people to reach out should they need that. I would like to also say that attending in person can be very daunting for people, and also they might not be able to with the nature of the work. We also have online groups as well that they contain, so they take place at the same time, Monday 7 o'clock. So
that has the options then,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sit in a lay-by on your break.
Yeah, sit in your break, obviously.
But yeah, services late at night.
The only difference is you've got to provide your own tea, coffee, biscuits. When you're accessing the online groups, we provide those to everybody, you know, at the in-face sessions. But we've heard some great things, some really powerful stories from the guys that have attended the online groups and how much they have helped them. So it's yet another option. So for people who don't know who to reach out to, there is that option as well.
But I think that example you gave, Jayson and Sean, around you having that connection.
Yeah.
That connection is so important. And when you talked about your friend who you spoke to, you know, it's knowing that other people are there, and having that human connection is so important, to know that you're not alone.
I mean, obviously I'm a huge advocate for the transport industry. I'm someone that's been, for those that obviously don't know, it's the first episode, so I've been brought up into transport and haulage my whole life. This is all I've ever done. So my dad did. Our family and friends are all surrounded by it. I'm fortunate that I am in a young peer group with other drivers and other people that are enthusiastic about the transport industry. As such, we all share common struggles. We all share common problems. And for anyone looking to get into this industry, or anyone that finds themselves as a young person in this industry, if you can sort of go out there, talk to people, I know it's difficult, but if you can, you'll be amazed that sometimes if you're having a really bad day, just pick up the phone and you're all there for each other. Like I've been there for, so many of my friends, and they're there for me. And sometimes, as you say, it doesn't matter what hour of the day, and if you don't want to talk to a stranger, you want to talk to a mate. That's really important. I think a big part of this as well is not focusing necessarily as well on the struggles, but also on some of the success stories, that can come out of actually trying to improve your mental health, because it's not a 5-minute fix. It's not something that's going to get done overnight, but something that can be, sort of worked at bit by bit over a period of time. I mean, Chris, you must have a success story for us for Annie's Man Club.
Well, I'd like to think of myself as a success story, because, I couldn't have possibly imagined myself in the position that I was in, now, but I see them every single day. We've got guys that have come through in such a terrible state at times. They're really struggling with some difficult, heavy stuff in their life, and then to see them grow and to see them flourish and improve week upon week. We don't have the answers. We don't claim to be there to give them the answers, but we're giving them that space to open up and talk. And now many of those guys have gone on to volunteer for the charity, and that is the biggest reward you could possibly have and you could possibly see.
100%. I mean, for you guys, it must be fantastic, for an organisation so passionate and dedicated about men's mental health to then help have those people that needed the help carry the torch for other people that can hopefully have the same thing. That must be amazing.
It's the power of peer support, as we said earlier. It really is. You can use your lived-in experience, and people listen to that, and they take that on board, and they see that perhaps, well, this person has come a long way. Maybe there is hope for me. Maybe I can do the same. It's so powerful for me, the peer support approach, and it's the only thing for me that I've found that personally helped me when I was going through a difficult time. I want to go back to that interaction. You gave each other a hug upon seeing each other. That could have made the difference. If somebody had that interaction with something and they were in need of that could have been such a massive moment. It might have been a minor one for you both, but it could have been such a massive moment. And you just implore anybody to reach out, even if they don't have that support network, friends and family that they can talk to. You'd be amazed if you actually speak to strangers and you say, I am struggling. You would be amazed at actually how many people out there do want to help if they actually can. Yeah. If they're in a position to do so, they will.
I mean, I'm really lucky with my Next Gen group. I mean, it is one of those things that when we started it, it's got to be going on a year and a half ago now.
Yep.
It was literally an idea, and we sort of put the feelers out there to see what was what. And I didn't know I was genuinely going to make friends out of it. I didn't know I was genuinely going to have, and we were going to go out and do things and all the rest of it. I just thought it might be a little bit of a forum, something, that people are going to come and discuss transport or maybe discuss a bit of policy. And actually, over the development of this group, as I've overseen it as chair, we've started it as very legislational based, but actually what the group is almost like a friendship group now. And it's to the point of where, we have been out and done events, and, we are able to see each other. Like when I see Sean, I don't see him for ages, but as soon as I do see him, I'm like, dude, how are you? Like, I mean, we and we catch up from time to time. I'll phone Sean will phone me. Reese Goff is another one. Goffy can't be here sadly today, but me and Goffy, we talk every day, every other day. And sometimes he's having a great day, and sometimes I'm having a great day. And sometimes, a lorry's gone, it doesn't matter what it is, and you're under the cosh. It really is quite amazing how much support we've got within our group. And obviously where that's going to go as well, because it shouldn't be just about transport as a whole. It should be about a support network for young people as well. Because as you're climbing that ladder, and I think a lot of people in this industry want to. It's not easy. Sometimes your foot slips on that ladder. Sometimes, you say or do something you shouldn't have done. And for me, I'm inexperienced in some things and I'm experienced in other things. And unfortunately, to get the experience in it, sometimes you have to mess up. And that can be quite hard on your confidence. And especially when you're on your own. When you're on your own, you're your own. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm my own worst enemy. things can be absolutely flying, and I'll stick a pin in it and burst that balloon just because you think it can't possibly be this good. And I'll say this openly at the table, and I'll say this in front of everyone here and everyone on the camera as well. Before I come and sat in this chair, I had to go in the bathroom, look straight in the mirror and say, Jayson, you can do this. You can do this. And I'm on camera all the time from my YouTube channel, and I help the RHA all the time. But there's always that little something in there. And sometimes when that gets on top of you, that's where things can really start. But I mean, changing out slightly, sure, obviously you travel a lot for work. You're all over from the others.
Just for an example, I talked to you outside here. I spoke to Clare. I've been in Dublin this week. Obviously, I went back to our depot in Lisburn, and then I'll be travelling. I was travelling yesterday, and it was Liverpool and then Wrexham. I'm over here today, and then I'm going to be in Chesterfield, and then travel back on Friday. So it can be obviously long. Do on your own travel, and then obviously being able to pick up the phone just to text to Jayson or somebody else, just to have a chat. It breaks it up and obviously gives you that network of support.
What do you do when you're on the road? When you're traveling, so obviously, how do you keep yourself in check, or how do you just make sure everything's okay? Do you keep yourself in check? I think is another thing.
Well, that's another thing, obviously. So you're trying to obviously speak to people and trying to keep yourself in check. Obviously, you're trying to deal with people on the phone, obviously trying to communicate and trying to keep in contact with people, because it's not as, obviously I'll not break this up or say anything not on camera. It can be quite lonely at times, obviously, when you're traveling. So you do need to have that interaction, obviously, and being able to speak to people, because obviously I travelled from Liverpool to here today. So obviously, if I didn't speak to anybody on the phone, I wouldn't have interacted with anybody. So you do have that period of time, but the network of people that you built up in the industry and spoke to, it does help, and it gives you that feel of you have people to speak to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about things outside of work, like
Pubs?
Yeah, or kind of, we talk about wellbeing in terms of those 5 areas of wellbeing within the RHA. So we've just launched Wellbeing Champions, and that isn't about, just a paper exercise. It's about those 5 areas of wellbeing. So that is around move.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't have to be, joining a running club. It's about, getting away from your desk, going for a walk, regularly. It doesn't have to be miles and miles, do you know what I mean? But actually moving is so important to our resilience. Focus is another one. So, focusing on something new. I've started to do Lego.
That's such a good one.
Yeah, I've started to do Lego. And it's just trying to find, and I just have it on the table, and every now and again I'll go, right, I'm going to go and do my Lego. And it's those mindful activities that really help us to forget about other things or get out of our head. You talked about that.
When we're stuck in our head, they are the first things that go. They're the first things that slide. Self-care, and also taking that time out for yourself. Those little moments, and you lose sight of how important it is to get out, to move around, to get away. So, I mean, Lego's a new one on me, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's it. And there's so many, now I'm finding there's so many adult Lego ranges. I'm doing an orchid at the moment, but it's, again, I forget about everything else when I'm doing that activity. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, and for me, obviously, outside of working, obviously, and the workplace would be obviously running and mountain biking stuff. Get away on a Saturday morning, go away in a forest for an hour and a half, 2 hours, plug out.
Brilliant.
And you can enjoy maybe 2-3 people with you. Yeah. That's something sort of, for me, if you don't get that, it affects you probably the next week. So if you're not doing the regular exercise, for me, that's my personal opinion, I will suffer the following week and then weeks onwards if you don't keep myself in check by doing it. So
I'm a big reader, so I tend to find myself a book. It's great escapism, and if I can, I'll go out somewhere into the air. A little bit more difficult at this time of year with the nights drawing in, but often I'll try and find somewhere outside, outdoors, and read a book. Just takes me out of the day to day. Takes my mind away from the things that might be causing me concern and getting stuck in there.
Jake, it's good. So you can,
My favourite thing is find or do something that inspires you. Like properly inspires you.
Something new, you mean?
It doesn't have to be new, but just something that makes you think, wow, I'm glad I did it. You, for example, for me, this is going to sound, but I love my lorries. I love them. Like I have other hobbies and things outside of work, but I live for my lorry. So we bought a show truck. It was a V8 Scania, and I was going through a particularly difficult time with my business previously. Like, and I come out of the office and I was just battered, like just battered. And I thought, you know, what can I do? I can go for a walk, go for a run, all the rest of it. I don't feel like doing that. And I literally, it was just, I walked around the corner and into the shed. It was, why am I doing this? What am I actually doing this for? Why am I working this hard? What is the point? And then like, I looked at my lorry and I was like, looked in, start out, listen to it. And then it just
calmed you down
completely. And I just sat in that shed with that truck for about an hour. And I was just like, that is my kind of therapy. But
it's finding what works for you, isn't it?
I think so. And again, when you're taking this journey into mental health, and as I say, finding something that inspires you, and it's finding that thing that works for you. And it's not until you start down that road that you're going to figure out what that is. And it might change, but it's understanding that. And I think for me that really helped. And I attach myself to these things. I mean, I love my YouTube channel. I love doing that because for me, it's like bringing everyone else into my world. And that's always great to share. Because my world's pretty crazy sometimes. I get to do stuff like this, but you know, for me, that's a real thing. I mean, the other thing is obviously therapy. It is, you know, if you don't want to call a helpline, you can always go and seek, you know, professional help with therapy. And as someone that's done therapy, it is a very explorative process. I find that when you first start, everyone goes, "Oh, therapy don't work, it's not good," you know. And you sit there in a room with this stranger, and now they're like, "So tell me about your inner workings." And you're like, "I don't know you. I don't want to tell you about my inner workings." But after a while and staying consistent with it, and as we mentioned earlier, is going down that road, and every road starts with a single step. You actually start to realize, actually, I am a bit broken, but that's okay. And that's, you know, because everyone is a little bit broken. No one's perfect. And it's being okay with yourself about that, being okay with mistakes. Not, for me, not putting huge expectations on yourself, because believe me, I like to load it on. And, you know, in that understanding and that forgiveness, there's actually a lot of love there. And the other thing is, maybe other people around you don't see you how you see yourself right now. You know, you can look in the mirror and think, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm not doing enough, I really letting myself go. You might be in the shape of life, and people around you might think, that guy's really got it together, he's really going for it. You know, and one of the things when I was going down this little path was, have you ever listened to how neurotic your brain is? Have you ever just sat there, like if your brain was a person?
So true.
And you were sitting on a couch watching a film with your brain, it's like, he's going to get killed in a minute, or, you know, he's dead, don't go in there, mate, you shouldn't do it. He's going to go in there, he's going to do that. You sit there and think, if this was a person, it'd be the most annoying person in the world.
I think for many of us, if our brain was sat on a couch next to us, it'd be off the couch, pretty sharp, out the door, or wouldn't we watching a film together?
But I think that goes back to that point around getting out of your head and doing those activities. Like you said, your exercise at the weekend is so important to you because it gets you out. You're feeling good because the endorphins, you know, of exercise and all that kind of thing. You're connecting with other people. You're in nature. You know, that's all mindful activity as well, isn't it? And it's the first thing that goes when you're feeling low or overwhelmed is those kinds of things, and you talk yourself out of it. Well, I certainly do anyway, and it's so important to have that structure.
It's a big thing. Self-care is one of the first to go, and you know, we are our own worst enemies at times. And you know, like you, Jayson, I put a hell of, and I don't know about you guys, but I put a hell of a lot of expectation and pressure on myself.
Yes.
And I have to forcibly tell myself, actually, no, you're doing the best that you can in the circumstances that you're in. Yeah. And it's a case of being kinder to yourself as well. Actively taking the time and the moment to be kind to yourself. It's important, and it gets forgotten in amongst the sheer chaos of day-to-day life at times.
Yeah, I think that really does ring true. And with lorry driving in particular, when you're obviously either spanning these long distances or you're spending this amount of time on your own, I think it's really important to actually be kind to yourself when you're in that cab. Oh, good maneuver there, mate. Yeah, done there. Oh, you part that so well. Imagine that. Imagine someone sitting next to you going, oh, you smashed that.
It's that dialogue, that internal dialogue that we have with ourselves, isn't it? And turning that into positive affirmation and, and yeah.
Often that dialogue is very negative.
Yes, it is.
And going back to what you said, often, we see ourselves in a very different way to how others see us. So, if you possibly can spot those positives, even though there's small wins on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, tell yourself them, repeat themselves, try and believe them, because, the chances are somebody else would witness that same thing and would see that situation. They would see that positive, even if you're struggling to do so yourself.
Yeah, 100%. It's those little wins that change that internal monologue that's going on. And over a course or a period of time, especially I say them out loud. It's so, I mean, everyone at home or watching this or listening to this will be like, you idiot, why'd you do that? What'd you do that for? That's just not, all you've done is basically affirmed that you did something wrong, that there was a problem, and you've put that out there now. So now you're listening to that negativity. But if you can do that with a win, as you're saying, no matter how small that win is, that's still a win. Wins to it. 100%.
It's the small things. It's celebrating those small things, isn't it? It's not about making huge changes, because you're more likely to fail if you do that, right? So actually, it's around going, right, my routine is this, and that is non-negotiable,
One of our questions at Andy's Man Club, which remains the same every single week, our question 2 is to name a positive from your week. Now, often people might find that a little difficult. Depends on the place that they're coming with, but, one of the positives we will offer is that, they've made that effort to reach out, they've made that step to come through the door and to try and seek some help. But also it could be something simple. It could be, I managed to do my washing. We will try and identify positives for them if they're struggling. Obviously encourage them to do that. But some of them on the face of it might seem small, but they're not. For that person, they're actually massive, and it's recognizing them.
I want to link this to Next Gen, just while you're saying that, because I think that's fantastic. And it just kind of lit something on in here, which I can say personally. If you're a young person, or an older person, or whatever it's going to be, but you're scared of trying something new. For example, you're coming into this industry, right? You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. But it's understanding and accepting that before you start. That is part of the normal process.
Well, the only way you learn is by making mistakes.
This is it.
Anyway, isn't it? You make mistakes, you learn, don't you?
And there is obviously support when you make mistakes to learn from your mistakes, and obviously to help you and hold you.
Everyone that's driven a lorry has hit something. Yeah, we've all done it.
It does happen. The amount of miles that you drive on the road.
Yeah.
You're going to...
Statistically, it's going to happen. So everyone else around you has made that mistake as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time, and this is where, again, putting that positivity out there, it's going, okay, you did hit that, but we've all hit something, mate. Like, we'll put it right and move on and not dwelling on that. Yeah. Because sometimes it's that holding on that really gets you. So that takes quite a lot of mental fortitude to just move on. That's not an easy thing to do.
A pound to a penny that the most of the criticism for that mistake will come from the individual who has made that mistake on themselves, rather than from the company every time.
And it's ruling that fear, isn't it? In terms of that self-dialogue that you have, and actually going, everyone makes mistakes, it's okay. You've got people around you, like you said.
Yeah, and it's trying to learn from your mistakes, and obviously just try and if you need help, ask for help.
Yeah.
I know it's quite difficult to do for some people, but there is always help and people willing to help out there.
Absolutely.
It's taking that 30 seconds sometimes to think, do I want to do this? Is this the right, is this the right maneuver to make? And just take that bit of time and go, you know what? Because again, as I said at the beginning, we're all rushing. Hurry, don't rush. But if you're rushing, then all you're focused on is that end result. You're not thinking about how you're going to get there. So you'll just, sometimes you'll just bulldoze your way into a situation you never wanted to be in. So taking that extra bit of time, or phoning that friend and going, or, for example, me, it's my dad. Dad, there's a cable over here. I don't want to lift this rope. I don't want to do this. Dad, there's a driveway. I don't want to go on this driveway. No, I don't want to block this road for this period of time. What do I do? Can you go around the corner? No. Can you enter the job another way? Maybe. Oh, wait, I can. Oh, and then there you go. And I think with a lot of organizations, especially for young people, it's being able to make that. And obviously, you don't want them asking questions 24/7, but it's also when they do ask a question, let them try and find the solution. Empower them, I think is the word we want to use here. Empower them to find the solution, because that will build their confidence as well. But also give them a helping hand if they need it.
And sometimes a different perspective helps you get to the goal that you want.
We were saying that earlier, weren't we, around how important it is to have intergenerational workforces, lots of different people working together, because you get, difference is something that, gives you that perspective and widens your thinking.
Yeah, something that I may have not seen, Jayson may have seen, that yourself have seen, so it does help. Obviously, like in the two or different generations across.
We can all learn from each other, can't we?
Yeah. And obviously try and embrace technology, because obviously an older generation from a younger generation will embrace the technology.
They've had different experiences with technology, haven't they? Young people have grown up with it more so than my generation, perhaps.
If I can shoe in what we do, with Andy's Man Club, we have a large age range, 18 up to, we have guys occasionally coming in, in the 70s and 80s as well. And it's having that broad, different, range of different perspectives on things, and giving people different points of view. And that's the magic of it. And it is, it's one of the main reasons why it works so well.
And obviously from the age widening, obviously the older age, the younger age, they may not speak or interact apart from the Mandy's Man Club.
Absolutely, yeah.
Andy's Man Club that does it, gives you that platform to be able to speak to somebody from an older generation,
So you're so right, because then you come out of that experience and take that into your own life, into your own organisation, or into your own environment or whatever, and it's educational, isn't it?
I mean, and it's two ways. Everybody, both the older generation can learn from the younger generation, and vice versa. It really is like that.
That's what we were saying earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, more or less it was, yes.
Yeah, around, I've learned so much from, different generations, younger generations, and everyone has different strengths and different things to bring to the table, don't they? Yeah.
I think this episode has been fantastic. And for me, it's been an absolute pleasure to share the table and have a conversation with you guys. I think, as an opening episode, it gives everyone at home, and especially for Chris, I've never met you before. I've spoken to you a couple of times.
We've spoken a couple of times.
But how nice it is to hear, what you guys are doing, but also your personal story as well.
And likewise, Jayson, it's fantastic to be asked to come and talk to you. Love what you're doing as well.
Thank you very much. I think a lot of people need that connection, and that's really important. We are going to have to start to draw to a close, I'm afraid. So I am going to do some shameless RHA plugs. So if you're under 35 and you find yourself wanting to be more involved in the transport industry, the RHA's Next Gen group is a fantastic way for you to be involved and meet some fantastic people. It's not just a support network, it's also a friendship group, and you can get professional advice as well as come to some of our meetups and explore what the transport industry has to offer. Claire, Sean, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out future episodes of the Next Generation Podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing this time with you. I've been Jay. See you later.